Today's episode is proudly sponsored by English Learning for Curious Minds. English Learning for Curious Minds is one of the best podcasts for English learners right now. Like Thinking in English, English Learning for Curious Minds is based on the idea of learning English from fascinating stories and topics. Recent episodes have discussed the unusual lives of historical kings and queens of England, the amazing stories behind famous authors including Lewis Carroll, introductions to historical events, and even a detailed explanation of English grammar through the topic of turnips. It really is an amazing podcast. I recommend you all go over and listen to a few episodes. You can improve your English listening skills and also access unique, interactive transcripts, subtitles, and key vocabulary. Make sure you check out English Learning for Curious Minds, available on all podcast platforms right now. Hello, I'm Tom Wilkinson and welcome to the Thinking in English podcast, a podcast for intermediate to advanced level English learners. In the past few months, the EU, USA and Canada have all taken steps to ban the popular social media application TikTok. Why? Well, today I'm going to explain why countries are considering banning TikTok and ask whether or not it should be banned. You can find the full transcript of today's episode over on the Thinking in English blog, the link's in the description. Check out my YouTube channel and my Instagram page, both called Thinking in English Podcast. Leave a like, review and rating wherever you are listening right now. And if you want to improve your English, join my conversation club. Link also in the description. Here is today's vocabulary list. As always, the written list is available in the description of the podcast and also on my blog, thinkinginenglish.blog. To lip sync. To lip sync. Performers who lip sync songs pretend to be singing when in fact they are just moving their lips. As in, actors both sing and lip sync to familiar tunes. Generation. Generation. All the people of about the same age within a society or within a particular family. As in, the younger generation smokes less than their parents did. Controversial. Controversial. Causing disagreement or discussion. For instance, the book was very controversial. Application. Application. A computer program or piece of software designed for a particular purpose that you can download onto a mobile phone or other mobile device. For instance, there are apps for everything, from learning a language to booking cinema tickets. Merger. Merger. An occasion when two or more companies or organizations join together to make one larger company. For example, the merger of these two companies would create the world's biggest accounting firm. To crack down. To crack down. To start dealing with bad or illegal behaviour in a more severe way. For example, the library is cracking down on people who lose their books. Data. Data. Information, especially facts or numbers, collected to be examined and considered and used to help decision making. For example, the data was collected by various researchers. To manipulate. To manipulate. To control something or someone to your advantage, often unfairly or dishonestly. For example, throughout her career, she has very successfully manipulated the media. Back in 2018, I started to get strange YouTube adverts while I was watching videos. If you currently live abroad, you may also have noticed how adverts and commercials on YouTube can change a lot between countries. And as an English speaker in Japan, my YouTube ads were often very strange. But these ads were different. They featured young people lip-syncing to famous songs, or they would be dancing to popular music. These ads were for a new app that had just launched on the international market. Another social media app known as Musical.ly had been bought and rebranded by a Chinese company. It was now known as TikTok. Back in 2018, no one had any idea the kind of cultural phenomenon TikTok would become. It has more than 1 billion active monthly users and has been downloaded 3.5 billion times around the world as of 2022. Although initially popular with children and teenagers, the app is now used by people of all ages. While the silly dances and lip-syncing I first saw back in 2018 are still part of the app, it is now used for almost every type of content. Education, news, investment advice, comedy, beauty tutorials, lifestyle vlogs, models, video games, highlights of movies and TV shows, and so much more. TikTok has created a new generation of celebrities and influencers, often known as TikTokers, who have built communities of millions of followers, launched businesses, and work with major brands. And its success has pushed other social media sites to copy TikTok. Instagram developed Reels, YouTube launched YouTube Shorts, Snapchat did something similar, and even Spotify has recently launched a TikTok-like discovery page. The popularity of TikTok is shaping our modern world and technology. If this is the case, if TikTok is a super popular and influential app with billions of users, it might seem surprising that it is so controversial and restricted in many countries. But it is controversial and constantly under the threat of bans. Canada, the European Union, and the United States all banned TikTok from the government-owned devices in the last few weeks, and India banned the app all the way back in 2020. Today I want to look at why TikTok is so controversial. I'll start by discussing the history and unique selling points of TikTok before discussing why countries are banning it, and end with a short debate on whether or not it should be banned. At the same time as listening to this interesting discussion, you will be able to learn new vocabulary and improve your listening comprehension. So let's start with the basic question. What is TikTok? TikTok is a free app that allows users to upload short videos to the site. While it started with strict limits to the length of videos, I think around 15 seconds originally, the app has expanded to allow videos of up to 10 minutes long, as well as live streamed content and a variety of other features. Users are able to record short videos using their smartphone's cameras, edit the videos in TikTok's app, which provides features including sound effects, music, special effects and filters, and then share to the app. TikTok was built for the smartphone generation. Videos are filmed and shown in portrait mode, something which other video sharing applications only recently started to do. The app has become a global social media leader in a relatively short time. It is the internationalized version of a Chinese application called Douyin, owned by the company ByteDance, which was released in September 2016 in China. The international version of the app was branded TikTok and launched internationally in 2017. However, it wasn't until the merger with social media service Musical.ly on the 2nd of August 2018 that the app's popularity started growing around the world. TikTok and Douyin, the Chinese version, are almost identical, but have completely separate content and servers. This means TikTok videos are not available on Douyin and Douyin videos are not available on TikTok. Despite its popularity, TikTok has been controversial. So controversial that countries around the world are considering banning the application altogether. Already, the USA, Canada, and the European Union have decided to ban TikTok from government devices like phones and tablets. Taiwan banned the app from government devices last year, and India fully banned TikTok in 2020. But why? Why is TikTok being banned around the world? The primary concern that countries have is data security. Security services in the West are worried that TikTok users' information is not safe with TikTok. They believe that the relationship between the Chinese government and Chinese companies, including TikTok's owner ByteDance, could lead to private information falling into the hands of the Chinese government. Over the past few years, the Chinese government has cracked down on major companies and powerful businesses in the country, ensuring that China's industries are under strict government supervision. Companies in China are now forced to comply with government laws that require the sharing of data with officials. And TikTok, with hundreds of millions of users around the world, is one of the largest sources of information in the world. TikTok denies all of this. They deny the fact that there is a relationship between the company and the government, and they insist that they would never give data from foreign countries to the Chinese government. ByteDance, however, is a Beijing-based company that is controlled by Chinese laws. Data could theoretically be demanded and manipulated by government officials. While TikTok insists that there is a wall or a block between TikTok data and ByteDance in China, many governments are struggling to believe this. Why would it be an issue if the Chinese government had access to such information? Well, there are two major concerns. First, the information gathered and stored by TikTok could pose a security risk in other countries. Second, the information could be shared with other Chinese companies, giving them an unfair business advantage. Some government officials have even suggested that TikTok could be used to manipulate people around the world by spreading fake information or promoting certain videos that would be against national interests. While this seems unlikely right now, there is little understanding of the algorithms and codes that determine and promote content on TikTok, and it is possible that this could be manipulated. For governments, the current pressing concern is that by downloading the app on a government device with a sensitive email account attached, government employees could be exposing important information. And there is real reason for concern. In June 2022, BuzzFeed released evidence that employees of ByteDance in China had repeatedly accessed private data of American users. And in December, Forbes released further evidence that TikTok was spying on Forbes employees, including the author of the earlier BuzzFeed report. The employee had moved to work for Forbes since then. So, should we ban TikTok? Should TikTok be banned on government devices around the world? Should it be banned on every device outside of China? Or is it an overreaction? On the one hand, there are a lot of arguments around at the moment that the app should be banned. As I've already mentioned, the risk of information being insecurely stored by the app is a real risk. And if the app could be manipulated to promote fake information, that is another major risk. As far back as 2020, articles were being written about the possibility TikTok could be used in the future to meddle in elections and influence populations. We know that in 2016, Russia carried out an election interference campaign in the US by building large groups of fake social media accounts. If China wished to do something similar, TikTok would be the first choice. Sensitive data, including location information and user viewing patterns, is highly valuable to companies. And if this data was leaked to other Chinese companies, it could give them an unfair advantage over Western businesses. On the other hand, banning the app is perhaps an overreaction. The UK, my country, for example, is not following the US, EU, and Canada in banning TikTok from government devices. Instead, the government stated downloading the app should be a personal choice. And if the main concern is data sharing, governments should also ban WhatsApp and Facebook. We know that American social media apps track data. Uber and Facebook used to follow journalists using their apps, and Facebook was exploited in the past by foreign governments looking to manipulate and obtain data. But these apps were never internationally banned. There was never a discussion about banning Facebook. It is quite easy to see the anger and fear of TikTok to be a consequence of the increasing fear of China and the growing rivalry between Western countries and China. The main difference between TikTok's data use and the data use of Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter is that TikTok is owned by a Chinese company. TikTok does collect a lot of data, of course, but no more than other apps. Rather than banning TikTok specifically, perhaps laws need to cover data use and data collection by all companies. And banning TikTok could have other consequences. It may violate people's rights to freedom of expression and speech. It would take away thousands of people's jobs, careers, and businesses that rely on TikTok. And it would annoy and anger the millions of users of the app around the world. So here is today's final thought. What do you think? Should TikTok be banned? Should it be banned for everyone? Do you think banning it is an overreaction? And do you use TikTok? And are you worried about your data? Let me know by leaving a comment on Spotify or reaching out on Instagram or leaving a comment on the Thinking in English blog. I'm really curious about what you guys think, because when I was researching this episode and reading different articles, I wasn't sure what I think myself. I agree that TikTok is taking a lot of data, a lot of information, the same as Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. And I think it is also concerning that Chinese government policies mean that TikTok could theoretically be forced to give over all of the Western countries' data to the Chinese government. But what is the difference really between that and Facebook or Twitter in the US? They use data and they sell data, right? They sell your data. I remember listening to a podcast a few years ago, and they said that the biggest lie we have been told in our modern lives is that social media is free. The biggest lie is that making a Facebook account is free. Because when you make an account on Facebook and you click agree to all of their terms and conditions, you are basically giving them permission to sell your data. And all social media companies do this. And anyone who is concerned about their privacy should be worried. Including me, I guess. I have lots of social media accounts, personal and business accounts, and I have lots of accounts on websites around the internet. I should probably be concerned about how people are using my data. But what do you think? Should TikTok be banned? Let me know. Thank you guys all so much for the support over the past few weeks and the past few months. It's been absolutely amazing. But thank you guys for listening, and I'll see you all next time. Goodbye. Join the Thinking in English Conversation Club right now. For just $2 a week, you can join with other English learners, practice speaking, have conversations, enjoy yourself, and use new vocabulary. We run conversation clubs every Tuesday and Thursday at 12 PM, 6 PM and 9 PM UK time. So there's no excuse. You can join, and you should join right now. Join the Thinking in English Conversation Club, link in the description.